What's up everyone? Thanks so much for tuning in. In today's video, we're going to be diving back into the Crew Cab S-10. The goal for this video is to get this thing torn down to the frame, and throughout the video I'm going to be talking about some of the things we're going to be doing to the truck throughout the series. We have a lot of work ahead of us, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Just in case you haven't seen the first couple episodes of the series, let's do a quick recap. So I ended up finding this thing on Facebook Marketplace a little while back and just thought it was super cool. I could not pass it up. It's basically a first generation Blazer and S-10 that's been cut to pieces and put back together to create a unique crew cab model. GM never officially made a crew cab in these old square bodies. There were some concepts, and I think there were some aftermarket companies that were doing them with like fiberglass rear doors and stuff, but this is pretty awesome. The whole point of this series is to put this thing back together and create something unique. You guys remember my friend Chris? He's always ready and willing to provide camera assistance. I'm super excited to work on this thing. Once we get this thing torn down to the frame, we'll be able to see what exactly we're dealing with here and figure out a game plan for moving forward. Aside from the fact that it already has a custom body, the thing that attracted me the most to this truck is that it's basically a blank slate. We can do whatever we want with it. Alright guys, we're ready to start tearing into this thing, but I want to first introduce you to my friend Joe. If you remember from the first episode, this used to be his truck. Now, Joe has a lot of experience in fabricating, restoration, engine work, and watering, just all sorts of stuff, and he's built like 16 other S-10s over the years, so he's super familiar with these trucks. We're going to work together to bring this thing back to life. There's a lot of things that I'm excited to learn along the way and get more familiar with, getting in-depth with body work and mechanicals and all of that kind of stuff, and he's going to help me with all of that. I've actually never taken a body off of a frame before, so what would you say is the first step?
Pretty much just finish up getting the wiring unhooked and stuff like that, get the bed unbolted, the front clip unbolted, and then we'll get the body off.
Right, sounds good. Take the tail light off.
10 millimeter.
Yeah, the wiring's still going up. Oh yeah, that's right. Is that too short?
Might be for the back.
Okay. Is this too long?
No, that's perfect. That'll actually work good.
Okay. I'll get the half inch. Big guns.
Normally there's a hole stamp right here.
Oh.
That's the bolts. Let me grab you a wrench. The front one you'll be able to get out no problem. With that.
I actually don't think I'll need an extension.
On the front one?
On this one right here.
Oh, okay. You may be able to get with that,
yeah. You got the easy one.
It's the luck of the ginger, bud.
Ready?
Yep. Now you get that bungee strap easier.
True. So that's pretty cool. After we get everything torn down, the next step is to get all this frame blasted and primed. Now, if we end up doing any frame modifications, do we do that after all that's been done and just prime over what metal we fabricated?
It's easier because, like, if we take when we take the blaster, if we've already got it notched, it's hard for them to get up inside.
Yeah.
So it's easier to have them do that, and then we're working with bare metal, or they can prime it for us. It's not that much extra, and then
you just reprime what you.
Yeah, we grind off the primer, etching what's there.
Gotcha.
And be good to go with it.
So front. Yeah. Okay.
Let me see your ratchet. And future, which this was already loosened up, always take the front one out first.
Okay.
The reason why is because of the angle of the hood, gravity. It'll try and tip it like it just did on that side, like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
If you pull the front or the rear one last, it won't do that.
Gotcha.
Now when you get close, put your hand at the base, down here where mine's at. Yep. Just so it don't slam into what would normally be a cowl.
Yeah.
Walk over the truck, set it Fenders.
So with the hood off, we can move on to removing the fenders. So we're gonna take off the fenders and the inner liners as one piece.
Yeah.
And then after that, we can take the core support off.
Correct.
Cool. So normally there's 2 bolts inside the door jamb here, but they've already been removed, so we can skip that and move on to the other ones.
When you're turning it, it's just spinning. Put your vice grips on this part of the metal.
Uh-huh.
Come right off.
So you're trying to hold that clip?
Yep. If you're trying to save bolts, that's what you do. If not, you cut the heads off.
Okay. One of the mounting clips rusted and snapped off, so we gotta try to get creative to try to pull the bolt out.
The biggest thing is don't tighten up the vice grips too much.
Yeah.
Because you'll crimp it, and then you just lock it onto the bolt.
Oh, yeah.
Now it should come right off.
Okay. It's working. And here we go. Sweet. That's it.
Still got the 3 bolts under here. The bolt into the core support. Driver's or passenger side's usually worse because of the
That
battery
looks
leaking and
extremely
stuff.
crusty over there.
So we might fight with those clips. They're probably going to break every one of them.
Okay. Well, I'll tackle the hard ones. The clip just disintegrated. Alright. I got it out with some clip remnant.
I was going to say, you can always tighten it and
Yeah.
shatter or break the bolt. I've done that. If it was a bolt I know I'm not going to get out.
Yeah. Come on. I have my doubts. Prove me wrong. Oh, look at that.
Broke again.
Wow.
Don't need that anymore. We've got one more bolt on this side, and then we can pull both fenders off and the liners.
Lift your hinge up. You got that all the way up until it sits down on the core support. And then hand under the fender, and you're just going to kind of wiggle and rock backwards.
One thing I was wondering, so the jimmy parts and stuff, they're completely interchangeable with all of this.
As far as
support,
bolt,
everything.
yes. The only time you don't run, or you run into not interchangeable, people do it, but it just doesn't quite look right, is if you're using what they call the 4-piece front end, which is pre or 89 and earlier,
Right.
and using a 1-piece grill on it. That's when things start looking funny because the headlights aren't quite positioned
Yeah.
right, stuff like that.
Okay.
Other than that, everything as far as bolt holes, it's all the same.
Okay. The last thing we got to take off up here is the core support, and it's super easy. It's just 2 bolts. There's 2 core support bushings and mounts down below here. A little bit closer inspection, this is all rotted and pitted really bad, but the good thing is I have the parts jimmy, and I actually bought another parts jimmy, a white one. I'll show you guys in another video, but all of these parts are interchangeable, so if there's anything rusted like this, we can just throw this in the trash, take the one off the parts jimmy, plop it in, done. This is super cool. We got the whole front end taken apart. Now it's just a matter of removing the wire harnesses. Up here, because, you know, again, the whole front section of this truck is from a Blazer, all we have is an engine and a light harness. Now, if this was an S-10, you would have a third harness that would run down here and out towards all of your lights and stuff. So, you know, because we don't have this, we're just gonna swap harnesses later.
Let's take this little tab here, pop it up, and then this piece slides to me. Same on this side. Now we just separated that. Then you undo this connector. Where's that one going? Into that.
Gotta cut that zip tie. Here's our light harness. So while Joseph works on unplugging the ECM, I'm just gonna work on getting everything else out of the bay. We'll unbolt the igniter here and just systematically unplug everything else. Try to keep as much stuff together as we can.
Easy and it doesn't paint. And it lasts longer than a steel line.
Yeah. So for ease of disassembly, we're going to separate the master cylinder from the booster, tip the master cylinder forward, leave this on here for now, and then disconnect the steering shaft and be ready to move on to body mounts and lift this cab off the frame. So when I undo this nut, is it just gonna pull out, or?
You'll force it, but you'll go. That shaft is actually a collapsible steering shaft, so if this was ever in a front end accident, it won't take the steering shaft and put it into your chest. This whole section right through here actually collapses down on itself.
Oh,
right here.
Yeah.
Like I said,
That's one way to do it.
it's hard to push.
So let's talk about some of these modifications we plan on doing. I posed a question in the last video regarding the suicide door that you see over there, of whether we should adapt this door to make it suicide like that one, or make that one, you know, revert it back to operating like a normal door. And kind of what I expected, the opinions were pretty mixed on it. I was pretty mixed on the idea too, so I appreciate everybody who gave their feedback and suggestions. The suicide door, when I first saw it, obviously it's really cool, it's very different, it's creative, but it is going to involve a lot of extra fabrication, reinforcement, and just a whole bunch of other stuff to make sure it's structurally sound and opens like normal. I like the normal opening door, and based on everybody's feedback again, I think we're just gonna revert this door back to factory. It can always be re-suicided, whatever you wanna call it. But just for ease and simplicity and the whole overall idea of the truck of what we're gonna be going for, I think having a normal opening door makes better sense. We're also going to be fixing the window line on the rear doors. When I shut it, you can see more of what I'm talking about. See how the top of that window does not match the top of that one? That's because, you know, this section came off of a four-door Blazer, and this is designed to go into the rear window in the cargo area. Without that rear window, it just looks weird. So what we need to do, and I've already been collecting parts, and that's why another reason I got another parts jimmy. We take the top section of metal from a handful of extra doors and we graft a new frame. So it will have this line right here, but go out further into this, have a one-piece rear window instead of the one that moves and then this static. So this little pillar thing is gonna get gone. It's gonna look really sweet. Of course, we'll shoot a whole video on that process. I'm also gonna be cosmetically converting this from a Chevrolet to a GMC using a bunch of the extra Jimmy parts that I have. So we're gonna put the newer GMC front end that came from like 91 through 94. You know, all the badging, the glove box door that'll say SLT, because at this time I plan on putting leather interior and stuff in it. So it'll be like a higher end Jimmy pickup truck. So I think it's going to turn out really, really nice. Going along with that, we need to do something different with this tailgate. Obviously the Chevrolet thing is going to get ripped off, but if you look closely, you can see where it comes down here, it dips in, so it's concave, and then you have like another little dip down lip there. I got an extra tailgate from S-10 Blazer in the 80s, you know, the one that folds down. We're going to cut the outer skin off of that one, graft it onto this to where it's going to be completely flat coming down. You're not going to have this concave thing, so you're still going to have this body line. This is still going to be intact and stuff, but it's going to be from here all the way flat. It's going to match the line of the taillights down here, and you'll have like a little bump out down below, so it'll be smooth all the way around. So again, like I said earlier, I'm probably just going to ditch this whole core support. If anybody wants it, if they want to put the effort into fixing the rust down below there, just let me know. I'm not going to get rid of it quite yet. I'm just going to use the whole core support off of one of my parts jimmies and just make it all easier. Next thing we're going to do is start unbolting the cab mount bushings, and we're going to roll it, get it up on the lift, and we're basically going to take the entire cab off of the frame so we can roll the frame out, lower the cab on some dollies, and wheel it outside. Check that bushing out.
They're in good shape.
Mint. Should be able to extend these arms out.
Yeah, cab don't weigh much.
All right, let's get the cab off the frame. The cab is officially off the frame. I'll tell you what, we just started using this lift and it has been an invaluable tool. It just makes things so easy.
Yep, it's easy.
Yes. Yes, it was. I'd also like to take this moment to extend a special thanks to my friend Chris Tolley over here. When he's not being cameraman extraordinaire, he does quite an amazing job at cleaning things up.
I'm very good with a broom. Hit me up if you need my services.
Contact info's in the description box below.
It's not.
The next thing we gotta do is move the frame, get the bed outside so we can bring the cab down on some dollies. And that'll allow us to move it around where we need to. I wanted to give you guys a closer look at where the two cabs were grafted together. Now, there's still gonna be some extra work that needs to be done to finalize all of this. Like, Joe, what do you think about, you know, as far as like the finishing touches and stuff, what would we need to do?
Well, we're gonna grind down all these little pieces of metal from welding up the gaps.
Yeah.
And then phosphoric acid on it. That'll get rid of the rust. take some 80 grit or 40 grit, sand everything down, and then we'll be ready to bedline it.
Sweet. This is the first time I've actually been able to really get underneath this truck and see the fabrication work. It's pretty cool. Like, you see all of these like cut lines and stuff that were welded. Basically, the floor pan between the Blazer and the S-10, where they're joined together, are different. So the metal had to be cut and reshaped, so it would kind of follow a pattern as if it would have, if the truck came from the factory. So there's metal reinforcement plates all welded in there and stuff. Again, just needs to be cleaned up, but really, really awesome. Now we gotta move all of this out there in the rain so we can get that moved, so we can get that down on the dollies and get that out so we can get the frame back in. Woo!
That'll work. Use this hand to pick up and then we'll grab it again.
Oh!
Damn, that hood in there just got center.
Yeah. Ready? Oh, there's a chop. Oh, we can't steer it. There's not as much weight on it. This might take a while. Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Now that side down.
Yeah, there's no weight on it, so it's going to turn really easy.
Got the frame back in the shop just in time before the heavy rain started to hit. Now, like I did with the body, I'm going to take you on a little bit of a closer look at just how the Blazer's frame was mated to the S-10's frame. So this frame was from a later first-gen Blazer. This S-10 frame was from a early second-gen, so like 94 to 98 or so. The two frames are joined in right here. The Blazer's frame rails are straight, so in order to adapt the S-10's frame, it had to be cut and basically molded to fit the curve right here. It's been welded. We still need to clean all of this stuff up. We're gonna weld fish plates on top of here to just give it some extra reinforcement. This carrier bearing brace is not original. It was, done custom along with all this other stuff because a Blazer doesn't typically have a carrier bearing. This is from an S-10, so all of this is custom. There's some additional reinforcement plates in there. We still have to put in some extra bolts. Again, all of this stuff needs to be cleaned up. It's by no means finished, but it's pretty fascinating how all of this stuff was made to work together. To give you a better idea of just how much longer this frame is versus a typical Blazer frame, you can look at the suspension mounting point. So this is where the Blazer frame ends in this case. Here is where the front portion of the leaf spring would have connected. But now it's all the way back here, so you have all of this additional length. Well guys, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed. We got the Crew Cab S-10 all torn down to the frame. The next step is gonna be just disassembling everything else, figuring out what we gotta do to the frame as far as other modifications, cleaning, reinforcing, and all of that. Then we can get it sandblasted, primed, and just move on to all of the other stuff we have planned for it. If you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so. There's always a lot more content where that came from, not just with this, but all of the other projects that we have to come. Also, don't forget to hit that little notification bell. That's really important. Don't forget to leave a like below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.